Hi everybody, Frank here from Tiny Plastic Spacemen, here to review for you the Sparmax Arism air compressor. This is a small format air compressor. It looks very interesting indeed. Here's the specs on the outside of the box. This particular one is a 220 to 240 volt, but there are I guess the US voltage available. What does it go up to? 110 to 120. It's a fairly small air compressor, as you can see. I mean, it's about the size of the cheap eBay jobbies that you can get online from Amazon and eBay and stuff like that. This one came from airbrushes.com. So I want to thank everybody there for sending us this review sample. It also came with this Max series airbrush, dual action. It's Max-4, as you can see there, 0.4 nozzle. There's also a 0.3 nozzle available. So this is going to be pretty much a general purpose sort of workhorse type brush. It's the same nozzle size and I believe cup capacity as the Badger 105 Patriot. Looks about the same size. Now I've used Sparmax compressors and airbrushes before. I've used the SP35, which is a pretty good airbrush. Now you may not know that Sparmax actually make the Iwata airbrush compressors and the Neo for Iwata airbrushes. When I have used the Neo for Iwata airbrush, it worked fine, but I'll be honest and say that I didn't really particularly care for the screw type paint cup, because it does have swappable paint cups, which makes it convenient, but it's kind of a pain to clean. Even if you don't swap out the paint cups. This one is a solid, as you can see. It's a one-piece, non-swappable unit, but we'll be getting to this in a separate video. So stay tuned, or check back later in the reviews playlist after this video is made. So, but let's get into this and just bust it open. And it's got a nice carry handle. Like I said, it's a nice small size. It's not huge or anything. This one, these are just a breakdown of the features of the compressor. So it's pretty handy. As you can see there, 125 with VAT. So it'd be about that many dollars, I should say, in the US. Let's see if we can get this open here. And there we are. So that's it. You can see, I mean, I wear a size large glove, so you can see, get a relative idea of how big this is. I don't have a ruler handy, but it's about, guesstimating, it's about 6 inches by 8 inches, and then about another maybe 8 or so inches tall. You can see me there. So it's got a pretty standard, like, PC type, in the UK this is called a kettle lead, and then there's a nice easy to find switch, and just a standard airbrush compressor connection. Now, like I said, I've used a Sparmax compressor before, the 620, the TC620X, and I was very, very happy with it. It is actually my travel compressor and my backup compressor for, I have a very large compressor now. And I was very, very happy with that, and still am actually. I highly recommend it to anyone looking for a quality air compressor that isn't something off of eBay or bundle deal, you know, the AS186 sort of bundle deal that you find all over the place. So here's your lead. It looks like a standard 3-meter sort of, and it's something you'll get with a PC power supply. So these are very easy to find. You can actually get extensions for these. And like I said, this is a UK one, UK model, so that's why that plug is like that. There's a hose here, nice braided hose, pretty good quality. I am just gonna break this open just so I'll get it hooked up just temporarily. Normally I would be using Teflon tape or PTFE tape, plumber's tape, you can get from any DIY shop or Home Depot type store. But this is purely for this initial demonstration. Okay, so I've got it plugged in, and I'm just going to go ahead and unbox and unwrap the airbrush as well, just so I have something to actually plug in. So, but we will be doing, like I said, a separate video on this. It does look nice though. Feels nice. So we're just going to attach there. Make sure. I've had issues in the past, my own fault, with quick disconnects having the donut hole still left in the gasket, so make sure that that's not going to be an issue. Before we actually get going, I'm going to use this. It comes with a really cool rest for the airbrush, so you can use that. Actually, I'll just turn it the correct way here. Okay, and it fits in that little rubber grommet, and you can twist it a little bit. Alright. So let's just switch it on. Okay, very quickly it gets up to pressure. Now the trick with this thing is there's no tank. It only runs when it detects that, when the pressure valve detects that the air pressure is dropped. So that's not too bad. It's sitting on what is essentially a printer desk that I've repurposed as a photo studio desk table. And you can see that's sitting at about 33 psi. So I don't imagine that that's going to get very, very hot, really. The whole thing is metal. All this chrome plated, and I'm guessing that's a steel case there. That feels metal. And there's also, oh, this is cool. So this is actually really handy, because I was just going to say and comment that there is no way to, let me just switch it off. Now there's a little notice on here that says release the air before you after you turn it off, and obviously before you unplug anything. So this is a little dial valve that is pretty handy. Look at that. So I'm wondering if Sparmax sell this separately, because this is a pretty nice little add-on. I have my quick release connector has something like this built in, but if you don't have that, that's really pretty handy. So rather than having it at 32 psi all the time, because there's nothing on this. It's literally a switch in the back that does that. So what we're going to try here is let's okay, so it's all the way in. That actually really, okay, that's a release there. These holes somehow are a release. Then as we tighten it up, it's just a bit less, it's a little bit less pressure. Okay. I see the way it's meant to work here. It's a little interesting. So what this does is, as it works on the principle of lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, right? So as you release some of the pressure, you can just hear some of the air starting to leak out. You hear it kick in. And the more you go to the left, the more air is leaking out, so to lower your air pressure as it hits your surface. So in a sense, basically it makes it run all the time, which you don't want to do for more than a few minutes at a time. I would say with this one, with its, knowing it's a Sparmax quality, and this all metal construction, so it helps it cool down and everything. Let's see what the actual instructions say. It is recommended that the compressor run continuously for no more than 40 minutes. So that's actually pretty decent. If you're using this as your only or your first airbrush compressor, which I would say is not a bad deal for $125, 125 pounds. Running at 40 minutes, that's going to be pretty good. That's plenty of time. Use the on-off switch to turn off the unit. Allow the unit to cool for 10 to 15 minutes before turning the compressor back on. And with this being all metal, like I said, it probably will get a bit warm, but it helps dissipate all the heat as well. So I think this is going to be a much better solution than one of those $40 or $50 options. Obviously, it is a bit more, but that's you pay for the quality. So I've just switched it off, and I'm going to show you the other piece of equipment that comes with this. And I've used this same exact thing before. It's called the Silver Bullet. It's a moisture trap. So basically this just screws on to the end of your hose, okay? And then this screws right in the top of it. You don't need to get a pair of pliers or anything, finger tight is fine. And basically it sort of acts like a gun grip, if that helps you use the airbrush easier. So a lot of people like them. There's more and more pistol grip airbrushes coming out. Actually, one of the Neo 4 Iwata airbrushes is a pistol grip, and it works pretty decent. But this is basically just a very cheap inline, but it works. It's called the Silver Bullet, and it's also from Sparmax. So the reason why you want one of these, if you're unfamiliar with airbrushing, let me just put this in its proper position there. It's handy. The reason why you want an airbrush moisture trap is because the motor pulls in air and it compresses that air, and it's heated up just by the act of being compressed. And as it comes out of the hose, as it reforms back out into, this is not technical at all, obviously, as it expands back out, it cools, and so moisture gets into your airline. So the moisture in the line will eventually reach your airbrush and spatter out as just literally just water, condensed water from, you know, it'll just ruin your paint job, and you'll have to either wipe it up very quickly or redo your paint job, which is not something anyone wants to do. So, which is another kind of quick tip, actually. Always have some sort of towel or rag or something like that ready to wipe up any spills whatsoever. So the fact that this is included and this is included with the Arism Mini is very, very handy. It's quite cool. Make sure this is pressed down very firmly. Actually, yeah, it's meant to be that far down. And yeah, that's really good. It's not too loud, I would say. It's certainly not silent, but it's not as loud as some compressors I've had, for sure. So using this, you can dial down your air pressure, and yes, the compressor will be on all the time if you want to get down to 10 or 20 psi, which you can actually see if we can see what that is actually like, because the compressor actually kicks in when it gets down to 30 or 30 psi automatically. So let's get down to 10 psi, which is about there, which is where you want to be for detail spraying. And so this, you can feel the air coming out, but that's okay. That's what it's meant to do. And you can see the pressure gauge shows it's 10 psi. Hopefully you can hear this. Now the air coming out is now very, very soft. But as we tighten this up, you can see the pressure going up. And now we're at 20 psi, which is normally where you would be doing your base coating. The most you want to be doing is probably 25 or so. And you can see on the gauge that is about 1.7 bar. So it is running continuously, but it's designed to run for over half an hour at a time, which is fine. You can base many models in that amount of time. So that's pretty decent, I would say. I think this is going to be my new compressor to lend out, actually. So I can have my TC20 on hand at all times, just in case. Not that I've ever had any problems with my big compressor, which is a big professional type compressor, but yeah, it's pretty good, I would say. And it's nice and small. You know, it fits in the hand. You can easily put this in a travel box, or even take it on a plane or something like that. So yeah, I mean, for 125 pounds, I would definitely say that this is a really good value, especially with a moisture trap included and this adjustable air valve, which lets you get any sort of air pressure you want. And of course, you don't have to keep this on the desk. They're called tabletop compressors. Let's keep this hose up here and put the compressor down below. And I'll reattach the airbrush. And of course, I don't know what sort of, I don't have a decibel meter or anything like that. I have something on the phone, but that is, you know, I don't know how much you can trust those. So this is our stop, our air stop. So it's just down here, just right next to my foot. And I don't think you could, that's, I mean, I'm certainly not going to jump if that kicks in. Obviously, I know it's going to kick in because I'm using the air, but it's quite quiet, and I'm not trying to talk over it, really. It's just there. Yeah, I would say that this is definitely very good value for money, especially compared to the cheapo eBay compressors that you can get, which I just don't recommend unless it's your absolute very first thing, and you know, you're only getting, say, $40 or $50 or pounds from your birthday money or Christmas money or something like that. But for a first, ideally for your first, but you know, for your second compressor, for a real compressor, this right here I would say is very, very good. And that is the Arism air compressor from Sparmax, not the Arism Mini like I said before. The Arism Mini is actually quite a bit smaller, and probably quite a bit less powerful. I'll show you what the Arism Mini looks like, which is this here. And this is available in various colors. So yeah, the Arism from Sparmax, very good air compressor, I would say. Like I said, there will be a follow-up using the Arism compressor with the Max-4 airbrush from Sparmax also. So be sure to look out for that in the playlist in the future. Thanks for watching. This has been Frank from Tiny Plastic Spacemen. Please visit the website. Please check out the channel and subscribe for more reviews of miniature wargaming specific books, models, equipment, tools, all sorts of things like that. And give us a like on Facebook at facebook.com/tinyplasticspacemen. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.